Now we're going to look at clicking an item in the list view and having a new intent open up. Think of an intent as just a separate view for your app. So that'll show the detail view. Before you can do that, open up Android manifest.xml and go to the source code view. Right below the closing tag for activity, we need to declare the detail view activity. So create a new element called activity, and inside of the opening tag, set the attribute Android name equal to, and in quotes, dot detail, capital D, view with a capital V. So we'll save the file, and we can close it, and then we'll go to appmain.java. Scroll down into the onListItemClick event handler. So here we receive the data, which is the list view, the main view, integer for the position of the item that was clicked, and an ID. So the first thing I do is I call super.onListItemClick. So right below that comment that says get the item that was clicked, let's handle this event. So the first thing we'll do is create the new intent. So data type intent, capital I, we'll call this intent with lowercase I, and we'll set it equal to a new intent. And in the parentheses for the constructor, we'll pass in v, which is the view, dot get context. Make sure to include the parentheses. And the second parameter is going to be detailView.class. So detailView with capital D, capital V, dot class. So that will create the new instance. And then we're going to put an extra inside of that. What we use the extra for is to pass data from one intent to the new intent that's going to appear. So below that, type intent dot put extra, and then we pass in the name and the value. And the name's going to be title in all caps. And then for the value, we'll pass in titles.get. So we're grabbing an item inside of the titles array list. And the item number that we want to get is the position that's passed into the onItemClick. So just pass in position. And then a semicolon to end the statement. Just make sure that you spelled it correctly. So position. And that's it. And what I'm going to do here is just highlight these lines of code that are commented out. And I'm going to press Command or Control 7 on my keyboard to uncomment them. So I did the same thing for put extra with description, price, length, and the link. And then I run the method start activity, passing in the intent. So let's save that file. And before we test it, let's go over to detailView.java. In detailView, we're importing several classes. I have a property called URL that's a string. It extends the activity class. OnCreate is pretty much the default. And all that runs is this code in here, which I've commented out. So right below set content view, which by the way, calls that detail XML file through the value r.layout. So that's what associates the XML layout file with this class. I'll set the value of URL. So URL equals get intent, capital I, and then parentheses, dot get string extra. And then we pass in app main, so the class name, dot link, all caps. So we'll close that line out. And then what we're going to do is make sure that there's no white space in the URL. And we've already looked at doing this before. I'm just doing this after we've already parsed the XML. So URL equals URL.replace all. And then we pass in the regular expression, which in quotes is 2 backslashes, S and a plus. That's any space. And the replacement's going to be nothing. So just 2 quotes right there. So that removes all the white space. And then we'll look at one more example of grabbing a title. So create a string called title, and then we'll set it equal to get intent, same as before, after the parentheses, dot get string extra. And then in the parentheses for get string extra, it's going to be app main dot title. I'll go to the next line, and what we're going to do now is put the title inside of the title field in the detail view. We'll create a value of type text view. We'll call this title view, capital V, and we'll set it equal to, in parentheses, text view. So we're telling it to treat whatever we put after the parentheses as a text view. And then find view by ID after the parentheses. And then in the parentheses after find view by ID, type capital R, dot ID, dot T, title. Now we'll set the text for the title view. Go to the next line and type title view, dot set text, and then we'll just pass in title. Make sure to add a semicolon to close out that statement, and then we'll just uncomment the rest of the code. So select it here, Command or Control 7 to uncomment. And I didn't write this code by hand just now just because we're repeating the same process of setting the text fields. So you can just look at the code and see how I did it there and just notice that it's exactly the same as what we've already done. So we'll save now, and I'm going to return to appmain.java and then run the app in the simulator. Note that you might have to click on your project and then choose to run it as an Android application, or you might have to go to the run menu and run it. So you can see my app is loaded into the simulator, and I can simply click on one of the list items. Then the new intent shows with the appropriate title, description, length, price, and the Book Now button. So we've successfully created our app, and we can now see all that data from the XML directly in our application. So remember, you can transfer to a new intent by creating the intent, adding extra data with the putExtra method, and then running start activity and passing in the intent. You can get the extra data by calling getIntent and then a dot getExtra. And if it's a string, then it's getStringExtra. If it's an int, then it's getIntExtra, and so on.